Today's daf is daf Samach Ches Amon Aleph. We are going to begin by the fourth line, Michti. So the Gemara says like this, Michti, let us see. Iki lakshil nida, iki lakshil achis isha. There's a possibility of comparing it to nida, and there's a possibility of comparing it to a wife's sister. My chaz is the makshat lo lachis isha. Why did you see that it should be juxtaposed next to a achis isha? Whenever you have a chumrah and a kula, we're going to juxtapose it to the chumrah. Yaakov says there's a different makar for the halacha that Kidushin is ineffective with arois. I can learn out from a kalvachim v'yavama, not arois, to forbidden relatives. Yeah, arois. My yavama she belav. So I said kalvachim v'yavama. I can learn out from a kalvachim v'yavama. My yavama she belav. By yavama, which is a lav l'tosa. Kidushin chavi mises or chavi krisis. The kosher for sure should be not be tefus. When it says yachi sharcha yavam nami. So, if so, that this is the marker, one should also derive that Kiddushin is ineffective with other people with whom one is chayav for violating an isser of having relations with the same svara. On a papa is chayav elavim b'ediksibu. In regards to chayav elavim, the Torah says clearly, ki siya le'ish, ki sen le'ish te nashim, ha'achas uva v'achas lo'av. The Torah says, if a man has two wives, the one beloved and the one he hated. Now, the Papa asks, like rhetorically, is there one who was hated before Hashem, the one who was hated before Hashem, loved or hated? Rather, pshat is that beloved means beloved in her marriage. Her marriage is permitted. And sinua, what does it mean? Hated in her marriage. It means sinua b'nisu'eha. It's hated in her marriage. In other words, her marriage involves the isser of a violation of isser. Now, what does the Torah say? If a man has two wives. So the Gemara asks, according to Akiva, it says in Kidushin Daf, that Kidushin is not taken. So what is the case does if a man has two wives established? The Gemara says, and Uchid the Tanya of Simi, Rabbi Akiva, he's Das Yachid, he holds that everything is a mamzer, even a lav, except Aman Lakin Gadosh, and materially Chalach Chalugum is Spanish and Mamzers. Makes it a Chalug, not in mamzer. We're asked Rabbi Yoshev, and according to Rabbi Yoshev, the Amr says, B'yimenitzvach al Akiva ben Yisrael, Shemer Kol Shein Lebi B'Yisrael Vad Mamzer. And he says, let's come and shout at Rabbi Akiva ben Yisrael, who would say, in every case where a Yid may not have relations with a particular woman that does so, it's an offspring. So he says, Anich Rabbi Yoshev, he says this works out well according to the opinion of Rabbi Shov if he comes to exclude the reason of Rabbi Simi. If he means to take issue with Allah or Rabbi Akiva in the specific case mentioned by Rabbi Simai, that Almana, Marita Kan Gadol, then Rabbi Shov too concedes that according to the opinion of Rabbi Akiva, Kiddushin does take effective in a case where a mitzvah saseh is violated by the Kiddushin. Accordingly, one can establish the phrase hated as referring to those whose marriage entailed the isser of a mitzvah saseh. If he's saying his own reason, and even how are you going to interpret it? So our answer is talking about a bu'ula to kain gadol. He says because it's a positive mitzvah that's not equally applicable to all. Since the command applies to a kain gadol, not the other yidin, its isser is considered less severe than other mitzvahs. And with regards to the Chacham who disagreed with Rabbi Akiva's opinion, and except instead of establishing why not establish it referring to those who are chayav for violating a mitzvah? In other words, Kiddushin should not be effective if it involves the violation of an isser. And as for the hated woman whose marriage is nevertheless valid, mentioned in that pasuk, this is referring to the person who has relations who violates a mitzvah. So the Gemara responds, Hani chayav say, the people who are liable for violating a mitzvah, but my ninu. What are they? If they're both Egyptian commerce, or if they're Egyptian commerce, then so first of all, this If you see that they're both Egyptian commerce, they are both hated, as both marriages are also. If you think that one is an Egyptian woman and the other a Jewish one, cannot be the case as we require two wives from the same nation. So the pasuk cannot be interpreted as referring to those who are chayav for violating what's say. Whereas with Bakiva and according to Bakiva, you're forced to leave the pasuk aside and establish it as dealing with a difficult case. In other words, Rabbi Kiva claims that the Kidushin is ineffective if any issue is involved. He has no choice but to explain the pasuk that says if a man has two wives in this forced manner. Mishnah said, in any case where a woman cannot join in Kidushin with him, with others, the offspring is like her. Affecting one of Shivcha Kananis, what do you know that the Kidushin by a Shivcha Kananis is ineffective? The pasuk says, Avram said, you abide here with the donkey, which alludes to the fact that the slaves belong to a nation similar to a donkey. Just as Kidushin is ineffective with an animal, it's likewise ineffective with a Shivcha Kananis. The Gemara says, we found that Kidushin is ineffective with a Knani Meisar. What do you know that the Vlad is like her? The wife and her children shall be her master. It's mashma that the offspring is the Knani Meisar and a Ibadibri are slaves as she is. Whereas, where do we know that a Goyish woman is ineffective? Either you shall marry them. So, which teaches us that marrying a goy is halachically meaningless. So Gemara says, okay, you find that the Kidushin is ineffective. Where do we derive that her offspring is like her? For he will turn away your son from following me. From a Jewish woman is called your son by the Torah. But your son from a Goyish woman is not called your son, but her son. Ravina says, Shmami, no, I'll learn from here. The son of his daughter born from a Goy is Kari Bincha is called the son. So shall we say that he holds that a Goy or a Canaan slave who has relations with a woman, Jewish woman, is a Vlad's a Mamzer? What can be mashma that the fact that the Vlad of this union is called your son, that is, he is a Yid, and therefore the principles in the Mishnah should apply. If a woman cannot join a Kiddushin with someone, the child is a Mamzer. So Mara says, no, the Hidi Kosh Leheva, granted that it's not fit offspring. Mamzer Leheva, it's not a Mamzer, it's just called disqualified. The Mara asks a question with regards to Rabbi Yehuda's statement. That positive is written with regards to the Shiva Amman. Sharon was Minala. What do you know the other nations? It says, for you will turn away your son, which serves to include all those who might turn away a child away, no matter from which nation. So the says, Honey, for Rabbi Shimon, and this works well according to Rabbi Shimon. The time the crow expounds the reason of the Psukim, El Rabbanim, according to the Rabbanim of my time. And what is the reason that the marker of this issue with regards to other nations? The pasuk says, after you may go and her and be her husband. So when it says Mechal Karli Tasar Kidushin, you can learn in the Cheda that Kidushin will not take effect with her, despite the fact that he already brought her into his house, and according to some opinions, even had relations with her. So the Gemara says Ashkal Tasar Kidushin. However, Vlad Kumesim not He said on Leish Yod Lei. In other words, Kalicha the Korean Be Kisiana. When you say Korean Kisiana, Korean Lei Vlad Yod Lei. And anywhere we do not read. If he has, also we don't read like Yod Lei, as the offspring inherits the mother status. Shivchanami. Lacheda also a maidservant too, that a child like her. And when I say Enachanami, Allah Isha Vladat, she says the Chidatanya. What is the what? If a person says to maidservant, if a person says you are hereby a free woman by your offspring, Shamain a slave. So the halacha is a vlad kamei. So the halacha, the vlad is like her. The master's statement is upheld. Then the wife and her children shall be her master. Where it says my Talmud, what's the makar? How do the chacham learn from here that a child remains a slave? The case. This is the opinion of the things that the children must follow their mother, as indicated by the pasuk. So if she is free, her offspring does not remain in the status. So the Mishnah says, Mamzerim can be purified, so that the offspring will not be mamzerim. In case how so? Mamzer shvels shivcha. If a mamzer married a Knani maidservant, havad eved, their offspring is a slave. Shichlore, if his master frees him, nimsa ben benchedin, so mamzer, the son is a free man. As Emir is Evan Mamzer, is considered Evan Mamzer. So effectively, we're going to ask a question: Tarf lachatchila kamer, or the Evan kamer? If Tarf states that the Mamzer is permitted to marry a maidservant, the lachatchila, or is it the Evan? But if he did not permit a Mamzer to marry a maidservant, lachatchila. Bashman with the Tarf and Tiatis is chum the Tastas and the Kavis. The Chacham said that Tarf, you are purifying the male, but you're not the females. So the solution is not applied to them. Now, Biyamris lachatchila kamer, if he means lachatchila, Mamzer is not meeting us labda. So let a mamzer should also marry a Eved Knani, and the child will then be free. So when it says Eved and Liyichus, the slave is no Liyichus, eating a shoot to marry a slave, the child would not be considered his, but would be a Jewish mamzer like him. This source provides no proof with regards to the Gemara's question. Somebody's host was a mamzer. Ramalei, somebody said to him, had I found out about your status earlier, before you married and had children, to hartinu lebenoch, I would have purified your sons by advising to marry a slave. What does it mean? What was the advice of Shmuel would have given to his host? The Gemara answers that the mansele etzav alamala. The Rav would have advised him, saying, "Zil ganev is dabim be'eved ivri. Go steal and be sold as an eved ivri." Which would mean that you can marry a shifcha kananis, and your offspring is a new slave. And the days of Rav Simlai was the Bechal Allah of Evdivri, Amr Mine, Evdivri Negel was much even leg. Now, Rabbi Emir is Eved Mamzer, Rabbi my time Rabbi you go after the Mamzer Rabbanon, last Rabbanon. After response to how do they respond to the claim? He'll be social as a mamzer. That pasuk is talking about Yisrael married the mamzers. So that the chamina avatim shvechis the basic muksiv asalei update. So his column is to exclude. Rabbi Eliezer. And how does Rabbi Eliezer respond? Lav afagav the custom shvechis the basic. Is it not the case that even though the Torah writes by their families, by their households, lei update comes to exclude him? Hanami afagav the ksiv ish v'ledet yamad now. Even though the Torah says the wife of the children shall be hers, so his comes to exclude him. Rabbanon and the Chachamim, and the offspring of the womb of a Knani maidservant is considered like the offspring of an animal's womb. So our child do not inherit in the father's status, even if the Yichus is flawed. Had and Allah Emer. May we return to the pedic of how Emer, the one who says.